Hi, welcome to our video on Nepean Distributors and what we're doing with the Returner New South Wales Container Deposit Scheme. The point of the video today is to try and help you understand what containers are and aren't eligible, our process here at Nepean, and to go through any frequently asked questions to try and make it easier for you next time you pop down. So we'll get started with the process. When you come down to Nepean, you bring your containers down. You can either bring them down in cardboard or in a bag, as this person's done. And what we do is we simply count them by hand. So we just make sure that all of your containers are intact, not damaged or dented. All the labels are still on. And then we count all the containers that you have and simply place them into our bag here. And then once your containers are counted, then we'll organise a cash refund for you. Now we're going to talk about the eligibility of containers, because some things are a little bit difficult to understand, other things are quite easy. So we've got a selection of containers here that are either eligible or ineligible. We'll go through juice first, because this one's a difficult one to understand. You've got a 3 litre orange and mango bottle here that's not 100% juice, and that is eligible for the return earn scheme. Similarly, this Woolworths apple juice, which is not 100% juice, is also eligible. So you've got a couple of other containers here for juice. This Golden Circle and the Westcliff apple and mango juice. These aren't 100% juice, so they should be eligible, but unfortunately the container deposit levy hasn't been paid on these containers, so they aren't part of the scheme at the moment. Then you've got another couple of juice bottles that are both 100% juice. So because they're 100% juice, they're not eligible as part of the scheme. You may find some fruit drinks which aren't 100% fruit juice, so they are eligible. This one, unfortunately, because it's from Aldi, is not part of the scheme at this stage, but let's hope that changes. All right, on to wine bottles. Unfortunately, all of the wine bottles that we have here are ineligible because, as we all know, the scheme is designed to reduce litter, and whilst most people don't mind a Chardonnay or a Merlot in the afternoon, they generally don't take it down to a park or throw it out on the street or take it down to a sports ground. So that's why they aren't part of the scheme. Onto our beer bottles and other glass bottles. So you've got 2 bottles here that are eligible. They've both got the label still attached and they're not smashed or damaged in any way. So they're both part of the scheme. But you've got 2 beer bottles here that unfortunately the labels have been taken off, so they won't be part of the scheme. They're not eligible. So just make sure you keep all of your labels on top of your bottles. So the next container we have is a glass bottle, but unfortunately it's cordial. So that is also ineligible under the scheme. We'll move on to milk bottles. A lot of people understand that the milk bottles aren't part of the scheme, but you've actually got flavoured milk, either in a plastic bottle or in a 600ml liquid paperboard, or you've got a little up and go or juice popper containers that are eligible. Obviously plain milk and large chocolate or strawberry milk is not, flavoured milk is not part of the scheme. Now, whilst spirits are fun to drink, unfortunately no spirit container is part of the scheme. And we'll move on to food containers. I don't know that anyone's drinking 2 litres of white vinegar. It tastes a little bit tart, but obviously no food containers are eligible. You have some sauce bottles and things here. This looks like a beer bottle, but unfortunately it's Nonna Maria's passata sauce. Now, I'm sure her passata sauce is fantastically delicious, but unfortunately that's not eligible either. And we'll move on to some plastic bottles here. These are normal soft drink bottles. Obviously there's no labels on these, so they aren't eligible under the scheme. So just make sure you don't take your labels off. You can submit them with or without a lid, that's not a problem at all, but just make sure the labels are put on, like these bottles that we have here, with or without lids, but they've all got the labels attached. And we've also got some flat bottles. Unfortunately, these are too crushed to be part of the scheme. What you need to remember is that whether you're feeding a container into an RVM or we bring it down to us here at Nepean where we do it over the counter using our hands, you need to make sure that items aren't squashed, because they will eventually travel through a machine to get scanned. Whether they scan the barcode or the size of the container or the label, they still need to be scanned. So make sure that we don't squash them too much. And the last thing we need to talk about is cans. So obviously if your cans are perfect, you've got a Pepsi Max can here, San Pellegrino can here, they're both in perfect condition, they'll be fine. Obviously a VB can, that's fine. Once they start to get a little bit crushed, so this one, it's got a couple of dimples in it, but it's still be able to travel through the machine and that'll be scanned, so that'll be fine. This one unfortunately is a little bit too crushed, and these look like they've been run over by a steamroller. So none of those will be eligible, but these ones, if they're slightly dented, they're still fine. There's a couple of imported cans here I'd like to go through. Obviously, this one is an imported steel can. It's not eligible because the importer hasn't paid the levy for the scheme. This imported can now, however, is part of the scheme because the importer has paid the levy. So if you're not sure on what containers are and aren't, obviously normal cans and soft drinks and bottles that you're used to, you'll know. But if you're not sure of containers, what I suggest is bring them down and we'll be able to help you go through them. If we don't understand, we'll find the answer for you on the spot so we can sort it out for you.